The way to assess whether a person with moderate level dementia with recent memory loss is safe to work in the kitchen with the stove is to ask them, what have you had for lunch? Just a few minutes after they have had lunch. Now, if they can't answer you as to what they've had for lunch, and indeed can't even remember that they've even had lunch just a few minutes after they've eaten it, then you know that recent memory loss is definitely a problem, and they won't be safe to work in the kitchen with the stove because they'll forget that they've put a pot on the stove and all the risk that goes with that. So this is the time that the conversation of something like leaving the pot on the stove needs to be had. And it's a very important conversation and needs to be well considered prior to the event. So in terms of this conversation with the person that has moderate level dementia and recent memory loss and a recent risk such as leaving a pot on the stove has happened, the person to sit down with them, the best person to sit down with them is the person that they trust and who is likely to be their main support person going forward. Trust is a huge element because the person is having to trust what it is that you're telling them, often with them not having remembered the event. So you can imagine how much trust that takes. And there needs to be that empathy, that love, that kindness, all of that needs to come into the equation. And it does need to be given time. For the first conversation, a good half an hour, because it will take time for the information to sink in, and it's important not to rush it. The person needs to be felt, needs to feel that they're being heard, that they can ask questions, that you're listening to them, that you're on their side. So to take it slowly, give them time for it to sink in and for them to be able to respond and to ask you questions or communicate with you as a result of the conversation. And also be prepared to repeat this conversation because they may well forget soon after the conversation that you've had it with them. So this is going to be the ongoing process. Now, let's get back to the topic of leaving the pot on the stove. Okay, it's different for a person living on their own compared to a person living with a partner, friend, family, or in a communal situation. So if the person's living on their own and there's been a risk of them leaving the pot on the stove, well, they have already left the pot on the stove and maybe a neighbour, smelt the burning smoke and came over, smelt the burning pot and came over and saved just in the nick of time. Okay, that being the situation, say it's your mother and this has happened, the best thing is take away the stove, really, or just unplug it or cut the cord or whatever so she can't use it. It's too dangerous. Microwave, fine. If she's not familiar with cooking in the microwave, maybe a few lessons on easy, simple recipes, baked potatoes, etc. If she can't manage that, bringing over frozen meals that she can take out at night and put in the microwave, supermarket meals, meals on wheels, whatever it takes, but not cooking on the stove. That unfortunately has to go. Now, if the person is living with a partner, friends, family, or a communal situation, of course there's more people around to oversee, but still, it's still important for them not to use the stove because it could be that the person that's with them, supporting them, just goes out, for maybe they have to go shopping or here or there, and it only doesn't take long to be in the kitchen forgetting about the pot on the stove, and big problems can happen. So, but it doesn't mean that the person can't do other activities. They can do the chopping of vegetables, washing of dishes, sweeping the floor, stirring of the, cake mix, rolling up all the little biscuits, whatever it is, they can do all those tasks. But pot on the stove, cooking on the stove, no. So it just needs to be explained in an empathetic manner, repeated if need be, and everyone needs to be on the same page. It can't be that one person's saying that they can't use the stove and another person's saying, oh, it's fine, I'm here, I can help you. There needs to be a meeting if it's a communal situation, a family meeting if it's a family, that everyone's on the same page giving the same message. And that way there's no confusion for the person and there's clarity amidst the group as to what is going on, and realizing that, you know, it's not going to get better, this recent memory loss. I mean, there's many other things you can do to help with dementia, which I've done actually a lot of work on with the 2 books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, and all these videos. But the recent memory loss is the ongoing problem. So pot on the stove, not good. Okay, so that's the main points. They are the main points for kitchen risks. There is also another point though, like the pot on the stove is a big kitchen risk because it's a public safety problem. It affects everybody if that goes up in flames. But there's also a personal risk, which is not so extensive, like knives and, you know, chopping equipment, etc. But if the person's really capable, if they've been a chef, if they've worked in the kitchen all their lives, if they're really, you know, experienced, and you can see and observe that they're managing the task well, that's the main thing. It's a day-by-day process. It's different for everyone. So it's being pragmatic, observing and seeing that the person is managing well. If they're managing well at the task, fine, let them carry on. But if they're having a bad day, maybe say, look, maybe have a break today and we can start with this tomorrow. But if you can see on, you know, a couple of occasions, 2 or 3 occasions even, that they're not managing with the knives, then have the conversation again with them, going through everything. And often what happens is that when you have these conversations, the person will know, they will know, especially early level of moderate level dementia, even later level, that their memory is coming and going, you know, that they're getting memory blanks and memory loss. So they'll know there's going to be some problems. And when you address it with them, if it's done in an empathetic way, most people will agree and, you know, be grateful for the help actually, and try and work with you, because it needs to be that the person works with you. It needs to be effort from all sides. Dementia is not an easy thing to work with. And it's not that the support person does all the support and the dementia person just sits back and takes it easy. There has to be an equal effort from both sides in terms of, you know, making things work. And so encouraging the person with dementia to perform the tasks and continue completing the duties and all the rest of it, and make the effort, you know, to be positive and pleasant like we all do. And hopefully we don't have to say these things, but encouragement now and then, if you can feel them just becoming distracted or blanking out or whatever. Blanking out's a different thing though. More so at high level dementia, which I've mentioned about in the previous videos and in the books. But recent memory loss is the big thing with moderate level dementia. So, as I've said, the 2 books, Resident's Voice, Resident's Rise, all the information in there, and these videos. Thank you for your support, looks and views. Please pass on the links and subscribe, and please like the video, you know, that thumbs up if you enjoy it. Below it is. Thank you.